Well, it's a beautiful day in San Diego. We're here with Jim Vernetti at his home, Troy Masterovich, and I'm Mark Hansen, members of the Operative Academy. Wishing you all well in the Windy City. It's only 70 degrees here. We know it's a little cooler back there, but we're here to talk to Jim a little bit about some of his memories of dentistry and some of his pearls of wisdom that he might want to share with the Operative Academy.
Jim? It was interesting when people asked me, did you become acquainted with gold foil? And I said, quite a long time ago. When I was going to USC, as a sophomore, I joined a local dental fraternity. And one night I came home from school, and the junior students were just beginning to start their gold foils at the clinic down on 16th Broadway. And so they said, well, let's take Vernetti here and see if we can find a gold foil. We at those times had these cases with their motor attached and the rheostat attached to them, so they could bring those to the fraternity house and could actually operate. So they sat me down in the living room and poked around till finally they found this little pit back on the second molar. Nice enough. They didn't give me any anesthesia. I didn't really need it, but the rubber dam went on right away. Not very easily either, but on the second molar with the juniors, we finally got me isolated enough to do this foil. Well, I can tell you with great happiness that foil has a longevity to it, because the foil is still there now after 73 years. And that's my first association with it.
I might add a lifetime association with that one.
Yeah, I will have that. That'll not come out in any way, I'm sure. Yes. And then the next really association I had with it was here at Coronado, and Dr. Charlie Latham was a dentist here, and a very good one, and he belongs to the San Diego Gold Foil Study Club. And he took a liking to me and said he'd like to have me come over and watch them operate. And I said to myself, gee, I did at least 90 foils when I was in school, and I know how to do foils, but I didn't want to hurt his feelings, so I decided, well, I'll go, I'll not say anything. And when I went over there, it took me just about 10 minutes to find out that I didn't know very much, if anything, about the gold foil, because they were teaching DAU. They had already set trays set up so beautifully like that, and the DAU is perfected to the point where if a doctor would reach for an instrument, the dental assistant had the privilege of slapping their hands, and there were quite a few fingers that were slapped. And even today, I see great improvement could be made in our study club in that aspect of it.
So, true.
Yeah, very, very true.
It's interesting that even today, I think every dental office probably should have foil equipment, because it's so nice to repair little margins that might be weakened when we were doing more full crowns, and we would have an endo that had to be done. It was nicer to put that than to amalgam in there.
When was the first operative meeting that you went to, Jim?
Ooh, that's the first. I remember the first gold foil.
Oh, the first Gold Foil Academy meeting. When was that?
That was about 1950, Dade County, Florida.
How did you get involved in going back to Dade County, Florida for the?
Well, Charlie Stebner, Bruce Smith was the president of the American Academy Gold Phone Operator. And Charlie Stebner was the vice president. And Charlie was convinced that the way to operate the show, instead of everybody throwing pictures on the screen all the time that are all beautiful, let him do some work on an actual person. And so he got together, we had 6 operators, and I was in the service at that time. And he called Dr. Metcalf, who was a mentor of our study club, and to have somebody go down, and he proudly for me said, well, Jim Vernetti's the only one I would recommend.
Well, you've been our mentor, both Charlie's and I, in our study club and through our lives, and you've given a lot to a lot of young people and guidance and helping them fulfill their dream.
Just like I did when we were starting it down here and getting you fellows together to decide whether you wanted to do a Tucker Study Club. I told you the one thing that you would gain as much as anything was the camaraderie. I've also learned, though, from having worked in a study club here, that there's one mentor in the club, and you can't have two. You can't have two because you have maybe different little bit of opinions, and that isn't right. The teacher is the teacher, and you do it his way.
Absolutely.
And that's, I think, very important. What do you think of the mentor that we have at Tucker Study Club now?
Well, we have Warren Johnson's our mentor, and we're very fortunate to have Warren for, how many years has it been, Charlie? 16
I think
years?
17.
16, 17 years. And
Warren Johnson is a very, very good teacher.
Oh, yes.
We've been blessed with
We've been
having
very
him
blessed.
down in our club.
Very blessed.
Do you remember Paul Dawson?
Yes, I sure do. Paul was a very fine instructor of ours at Northwestern, and in fact, on the floor one day, it was kind of funny. He was always, when you ran into a problem with a foil or something, you had to run down Dr. Dawson, and I was doing a lingual 5 on an upper bicuspid one day, and I couldn't isolate it, and so I talked to Dr. Dawson, and he had a trunk, in there, and he went back in the trunk and got out some special clamps, and he fiddled with them, and he said, I said, after almost becoming frustrated to get this isolated, he goes, patients used to not get cavities on the lingual. So he had a good sense of humor too, but he was a wonderful.
Yeah, he was a great teacher,
Very good.
Very good teacher. So, and you, Mark, how about you? Why do you like to go back to a restorative meeting?
Well, you took me to my first one, about 15 years ago, my first operative and restorative meeting, and ever since it's the benchmark probably of all the meetings I go to. I think it's one of the best ones you could go to, and the camaraderie, and especially going with you and seeing over the 50 or 60 years you've been going to these meetings.
Yes.
How many years?
How many years has it been, do you think, Jim?
I missed two. Both times my wives were sick. I missed 2 meetings.
And the one last year.
In about 50 years.
It's not too bad.
That's a long time of going back to dental meetings.
That may hit the Guinness Book of Records for the Operative Academy.
Well, it's you both know, and I was mentioning a little bit before we were discussing that every time I come back, the dental assistant said, well, what are we changing now in the office?
Yeah.
I know.
What new are you going to bring to do, not for us to do? And you always bring back some little gem, call them gems, call them pearls, call them whatever you want. And you don't have to bring back too many of them to make it worthwhile your trip.
Absolutely.
You always told me just bring back one memory and it's worth the whole trip.
Yes.
One little gem to bring back with you.
I'll still be there if not in person, I'll be there in spirit, and wishing that were my opportunity. But life takes its toll, and wonderful. Thank you for listening to us. Adios for now.